My. While you slept, the baseball season started.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and good morning, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on the Instagrams. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is to just put down your thoughts right on the YouTube page, because I do read all the comments, including the nasty ones. I've got a couple of people who did not like what I had to say about the A's in Las Vegas, but that's nothing new. People in Las Vegas tend to hate me because I'm not a fan of that as a market. It has nothing to do with the people in Las Vegas. I can't say that any stronger, although people refuse to listen to that. Oh, let's go through the trivia question. As we know, the season has begun. The first regular season game is in the books, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are the defending World Series champions, playing their first game of the year in Tokyo. When the trivia question was, when was the last time when was the first time, a defending World Series champion opened their season in Tokyo? And Silent E749 got it correct. It was the 2008 Red Sox began their defense of the 2007 World Series championship, and when they were playing in Japan that day. Sorry, I believe they played the Oakland A's, but I may be wrong on that. I need a little sip of this because it's 6:22 in the morning, and as my friend Booney, the host of Locked On A's, sent me a text, he noted that I said that the game was starting at 6 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. No. It started at 3 in the morning Pacific time in Tokyo. I was reading the Eastern Standard Zone. There was, by the way, Silent E 749 wrote more. He said he enjoyed seeing the Dodgers get shut out by the Haitian Tigers. The Tigers were in the climax series along with the Yokohama Bay Stars, who won. It would have been nice to see the champions face off, but the Tigers are a strong team, shown why. It's nice to see the Japanese fan base supporting all the teams involved. And he wrote, "Everyday Sully," because if you listen to the show every day, there you go. Put that hashtag on, helps us figure out who is following the teams, following the podcast. It's really early, folks. I decided to do a live show really early. And some of you are up. Riley says, "What up from West Virginia?" Good morning, Riley. And Jet Black Onyx, he's an everyday Sully there. Okay. I get to do this for the first time this year. Some people ask me why I didn't cover any of the spring training games. Like, why didn't I go through the highlights of spring training games? I can't get excited about spring training games. I really can't. I enjoy watching them because it's, better than not having a baseball game on. But they're practicing. Not to get all Allen Iverson on you, but we're talking about practice. And I don't really get excited when I see, hey, guess who practiced today? It's not my thing. Well, the Dodgers and the Cubs played, and I watched the final couple of innings. I have to make one suggestion. If you are going to have two teams playing in Japan to open the season, again, I'm not in favor of that. I'm not against having games being played internationally. I think those are fun. But I want to see the opening day be a giant event. I've said this before, and I'll say it again before people say, yeah, I've been accused of some sort of xenophobia or, America first thing. No. I like the international games. I just want opening day to be a big event, not something happening at 3 o'clock in the morning Los Angeles time when the Dodgers at the peak of their popularity are playing. have opening day be a big ceremony, and again, have an international game sometime along the way. But if you are going to continue to do that, here is my one request: have two teams whose team colors are very different. Cubs, Cardinals, those are very different team colors. A's, Yankees, very different team colors. Why do I say that? Because when it's 5 o'clock in the morning in Pasadena, California, and your pal Sully is, kind of waking up. Um, you see one team wearing blue and white and one team wearing blue and gray. And I'm rubbing my eyes, and it's in a neutral site, so I can't look at Dodger Stadium or Wrigley Field. I'm still kind of in a weird dream state right now. I'm like going, Christ, which one is the Dodgers? I'm just who's up, who's up, and make it a little easier. That's one of, by the way, is a very big reason. I'm going to go NBA for a second. Why I get really mad when you have the road team wearing a white uniform or the home team wearing a solid color uniform while playing an NBA game. Why? Because let's say I'm at a restaurant or a bar, there's a TV on. I want to be able to look at the screen and instantly know who the home team and the away team is. And everyone's getting all cute with the Celtics wearing green at home. Stop that. I digress. All right, so the Cubs and the Dodgers have played, and Jet Black Onyx is an everyday seller. He said, one game in, I'm already sick of Dodger coverage. Well, okay, buddy. Do you want me to talk about the other game played today? It was and Justin Lamas says greetings from Europe. Whereabouts in Europe are you? My son's currently in Europe. Maybe you two can hang out. You saw today it was a matchup between Yamamoto started today for Los Angeles, and you're in Lyon. You're in Lyon, France. Nice. I've been to Lyon. No one else needs to know that. Imanaga started for the Cubs, and it was very early on. It looked like it was going to be just an absolute great pitching duel between these two aces from Japan in Japan. And Imanaga had the upper hand for a little bit. He threw 4 shutout and hitless innings, and he struck out a pair of Dodgers. But because it's still basically spring training, even though it counts, he only went 4 innings. Yamamoto, who is the Dodgers are hoping he will be the ace of the team this year, and he pitched fine last year. Allowed 1 run and 3 hits and 1 walk. He struck out 4. Now, the first run of the year, who had this on their bingo card? Miguel Amaya drove in the first run of the 2026 season. The Cubs catcher hit a double, and Dansby Swanson scored. And going into the 5th, the Cubs had a 1-0 lead. But they lifted Imanaga, and because of the wonderful things he does. And so there would be no decision for him. And in came Ben Brown. I barely know. I know Ben Brown, he pitched 1 more game than I did last year. I'm sorry. He pitched several. He held 1 more game last year. I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong stat right there. He was a spot starter. Started a few games for them last year, and came in and didn't pitch well today. He allowed 3 hits, 3 runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. He allowed 7 base runners in 2 2/3 innings. And Teoscar Hernandez, Tommy Edman, by the way, those 2 acquisitions from last year are still paying off for Los Angeles. And the guy who owned baseball, Will Smith, got a base hit. Will Smith owned baseball today because he got on base 3 times. Got on base 4 times, 3 walks and a single, drove in a run, and helped the Dodgers pad their lead to 3-1. And then the 9th inning, he got another hit, and basically the Dodgers held on as Banda, Kasperius, Connecticut's own, Trinan, and Tanner Scott. Tanner Scott gets the first save of the year. Trinan pitched, struck out a pair. Tanner Scott got a strikeout and a ground out, and the Dodgers held on to a 4-1 victory. And with that, say it with me, folks. The Dodgers have reduced their magic number to 162. Any combination of Dodger wins and other NL West teams' losses that match 162, the Dodgers will repeat as National League West champions. I know that's silly, but it's not so silly for the Cubs. Let's hear from our good friends over at SupplyHouse. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades. SupplyHouse. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, SupplyHouse is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get your job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you will find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll never have to speak to a recording. You're always going to talk to real people. Now, for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Hey, there's nothing like the energy of an MLS match, the chance, the atmosphere, the last-minute goals. If you want to experience it live, use Gametime. It helps make getting tickets easier than ever. Last-minute deals, all-in pricing, lowest price guaranteed. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLS tickets. Plus, ticket prices actually drop as kickoff gets closer, and so you can score amazing deals at a great price. You know, the deals are great on the Gametime app, and for the weekend match, you know what? They're a lot less expensive than you'd think. You get the views from your seat before you buy, so there's no surprises when you get to the stadium. And they have an event cancellation protection and even a job loss assurance, so you can buy with confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices. Do you know what they are? They're guaranteed. Right now, I made the kind of the cheeky comment about the magic number being reduced to 162. I don't think Dodger fans have much to worry about. I think the Dodgers are, I mean, unless just catastrophic injuries happen to the team, I think they're pretty much a lock to win the National League West, even though the National League West has is loaded. I picked the Padres and the Diamondbacks to go to the postseason, and San Francisco looks like it has a ton of terrific pitching. But the Dodgers are in good shape. How do we know this? Kiki Hernandez was at first, and Andy Pajes was in center field, and Teoscar Hernandez was in right field. Conforto was in left field, and Edman was at second base. That means they won this game without Freddie Freeman and without Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is not traveling with the team. He was ill, and there was a late scratch of World Series hero Freddie Freeman, and Kiki Hernandez filled in his spot, because that's why you have players like Edman and Muncy and Kiki Hernandez, because they can play they can play the infield, they can play the outfield, they can fill in here, there, and everywhere. So the Dodgers are going to win games because they're loaded and all the other stuff. I am not 100% kidding when I say this is bad news for the Cubs. Obviously, they have 161 games to make things up. I'm not being stupid here, okay? I'm not saying Cub fans should panic. Here's something I will say, though. Every single year, there is a team that falls a game or two short of the playoffs. Last year, I made this point before. The Diamondbacks, if they won one more game somewhere along the way in March, April, May, June, July, or August, they wouldn't be scratching and clawing for that spot in the postseason where, remember, they finished with the identical record as the Braves and the Mets. And the Mets got to within 2 wins of the World Series. The Diamondbacks were better than the team that went to the World Series in 2023 last year. They were a better team. And they finished 1 game shy. They were tied. It became a head-to-head, this and that and the other thing. If they won one more game, they're in. They're a 90-win team and in. Every single game that is winnable that you lose is going to be a pain in the neck for teams that are scratching and clawing for a playoff spot. If this game was 9-1, if the Dodgers just blew the door off the dump, I'd shrug. If like Ohtani hit 3 home runs and Teoscar Hernandez had a bases clearing double and it was the final score 9-1, I wouldn't be saying any of this. I was like, hey, look at, the Dodgers are the champs. What are you going to do? And that's going to happen a lot during the year. What are you going to do? It's the games you had a shot to win. They got the 1 run in the second, but Yamamoto didn't pitch 9. As I said, it didn't include Freeman. It didn't include Betts. And they got decent pitching, save for 1 inning. 1 damn inning was the one time they didn't have good pitching for Chicago either. That's a winnable game. Bill Murray flew all the way to freaking Japan to see it, and not to do a sequel to Lost in Translation. Thank you for that one. But the fact of the matter is, the Cubs are in a scratch and claw division. Not a scratch and sniff division, a scratch and claw division. And, I picked the freaking Reds. Why did I pick the Reds? Because according to the current collective bargaining agreement, a team from the National League Central has to participate in the postseason. The Cubs are flawed. Brewers are flawed. The Cardinals are rebuilding. Who knows what the hell the Pirates are doing. And the Reds are talented. As I said, I don't believe Terry Francona is coming back for a rebuild. Now, I don't think the Reds are going to make anyone forget the big red machine. I think a bunch of division winners this year are going to be between 88 and 90 wins. But if you're trying to scratch and claw for those 88 and 90 wins, and this is a flawed Cubs team who had a weird offseason, you can't afford to lose a lot of games like this. I know I'm sounding ridiculous, but I'm not. If you get to the end of the year, and earmark this, what is this? It's the day after St. Patrick's Day. This is way too early to have regular season baseball games count, but I digress. It's the day after St. Patrick's. It was the 18th day of March. By the way, happy birthday to my mom 2 days ago. Don't worry, I called her in real life. If you get down to September and you see the Brewers, Cubs, and Reds all are within 2 or 3 games of each other, you get to that final weekend of the season and the Cubs are like a game back, you'll remember this day. You'll remember every tiny game which they had a chance to win that they didn't. Those are the games you can't lose. You have to scratch and claw. They took out Yamamoto after 5. They didn't have Freeman. They didn't have Betts. This was a winnable game. If the Cubs had won, 4-1, I wouldn't be saying this about the Dodgers, because I don't think, even though I think the West is incredibly talented, I do think the Dodgers are heads and shoulders above the rest. It's not the case for the Cubs. And you know what? I would say the same thing for every single American League team. Every single American League team should be doing everything they can to get out of the gate fast. Win those games now that you don't have to win later. It may sound silly, But the fact of the matter is the Cubs can't afford to drop lots of games like this if they don't want to spend September in an absolute free fall. These games count just as much as the games down the stretch. Yeah, it's early. Yeah, there's a lot of games to play, and it's kind of ridiculous to look at stuff like this, except that it's not. I'm going to keep this little clip. I'm going to put it in a little folder, and we will return to this clip in September if the Cubs are scratching and clawing. Why? Because I'm a little sadistic. When it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients also partnered with two-time MVP Bryce Harper, who trusts their NSF certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. And you know what? It has great, wholesome, nourishing ingredients without any of that artificial junk. And for fueling performances, whether you're recovering after a workout or need an energy boost, their grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout will deliver real results. Just visit justingredients.us/Bryce-Harper and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off of your order. And for more wellness tips, follow just.ingredients on Instagram. Just Ingredients. Give it a shot.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Can I get a jib like that? I want to get a jib like that. I'm going to put it right here. This, by the way, I am recording in the luxurious Locked On MLB studios in Pasadena, California, overlooking the historic Rose Bowl. It looks like I'm in a corner of my house, but I'm actually in a massive, massive studio right here. This is where they actually filmed many James Bond films. Are just massive sets that they've built here, but I picked this tiny corner. So we can fit a jib in here. We'll give it a shot. By the way, I'm just going to, a couple of things I'm going to bring up. I will bring this up because I did the crossover with Locked On A's the other day, and I talked about Las Vegas. I have a lot of problems with that as a potential market. I think there are better markets out there. I don't think it would be a good expansion market, but I certainly don't think it would be a good market to move a franchise there. And whenever I say that, people in Las Vegas will, what's the word? Hate me. Someone named Togo and Moss wrote, it would be difficult to find two more misinformed people regarding the Las Vegas situation. And that was, of course, a reference to when I was doing the episode regarding the wonderful documentary about the end of the A's time in Oakland, along with Matt Dooley, the filmmaker. Here's what I ask. I don't mind getting people saying it's a bit difficult to find two more misinformed people regarding Las Vegas. I don't mind criticism like that, but tell me why. What am I misinformed about? If I'm wrong about something, I want to be corrected. But you can't talk about Matt Dooley as not knowing the situation with the A's. The guy is an expert on it. I know a thing or two about it as well. As for the Las Vegas situation, what am I misinformed about? Please, just let me know. Let me know. And if I'm wrong about stuff, I will tell you, and I will correct myself. Is Las Vegas based upon tourism? Yes. Would a A's regular season game bring in more people than like Penn and Teller or a Celine Dion? No. Is it when you have transplanted populations? Is it hard for a new team to grab a toehold on the attention of the fan base? We've seen that in many markets, including both Florida markets and in Arizona. So, and is it located in a place where there's not enough parking? Yes, that's not an opinion. That's a fact. Someone posted on there saying, well, what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to drive up and drop their friends off at the stadium. So let's just say you drop 2 friends off. So like every day they're expecting 15,000 people to drop their friends off. Or to, there are red flags. And also John Fisher has not been forthright. And oh yeah, how's the construction going? How's the construction going? Oh, it hasn't started yet. It's March. It's March. I'm just saying. I mentioned and the Marlins are another organization that I've talked about a little bit. And let me get this perfectly clear. If the A's move to Las Vegas, I want them to be successful. I just don't think Las Vegas is the best place for that success. I think they'd be more successful in Sacramento. I think they'd be a hell of a lot more successful in Portland. If they have to move, if that ship has sailed and they're out of the Bay Area. I would prefer that they have built a stadium in the Bay Area, but they didn't, and we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Marlins are another one. I've talked about the Marlins. I've called them a Mickey Mouse organization because they constantly tear down the team. Big John 08865, who is an everyday Sully, writes, trouble with Morgan's, the Marlins organization themselves don't want to see the Marlins be successful. It does kind of feel that way. I mean, they obviously won the 2 championships. They won the championship in '97, and they tore that down during the victory parade. They won the title in '03, and they kept that team together for a couple of years, save for Pudge Rodriguez. But by the time Joe Girardi showed up in '06, they tore that team down. They were competitive. Remember, they were competitive in '07 and '08 with a very low-budget team, but they tore that team apart. Then it looked like they were making something really special when they had Yelich. They had obviously the late Jose Fernandez and Giancarlo Stanton. They tore that team apart. And in 2023, they made the playoffs with a fun team. And it looked like, whoa, the Marlins are putting something together. And they tore that team down before they can do anything. And then they get rid of Kim Eng. And they, how many managers of the year do they just push out the door? I mean, there are a couple organizations that, I know there's talk about whether or not they should push a new ownership in Tampa Bay because of the situation there. Obviously, a lot of us think they should have pushed Fisher out when he was, in many ways, committing fraud as the owner of the A's. They did push the owner out, the McCourts, in the early 2010s because he was running the Dodgers into the ground. And look what the new ownership has done for the current Dodger team. Why aren't they doing that for Miami? They basically stole money. Not basically, they did steal money to build that stadium. And they are not making any effort to put a quality product on the field. And when they do, they panic and put 2 sticks of dynamite in it. Miami should be a massive baseball market. The Marlins have been there long enough to get away from the excuse of, well, it's mainly Yankee and Met fans who live there. It's transplanted New Yorkers. There's a lot of people from the, from Miami who live there. And it's been, when did they start? They started in 1993. It's 32 years the Marlins have been there. Usually the rule is 7. If you're basically under 40, if you're 30, if you're 37 years old or younger, the Marlins have existed your whole life, or your whole memory. And so this nonsense of, well, they can't build a fan base because of all the transplanted New Yorkers and everything. You're approaching on half a century soon of the team. I mean, you've had more than a quarter of a century to do something about that. And I don't see the same problem going on for the Panthers. I don't see the same problem going on for the Heat. I don't see the same problem going on for the Dolphins. Why is it just the Marlins? I would love to see Miami be a baseball hub. And wherever the A's land, right now I'd rather they stay in Sacramento. But if they go to Vegas, I hope I'm wrong. And I hope they're a massive success because the A's have been looking for a home that feels like a home for a very long time. All right. Well, the season has kind of started, so let's get it going. And my dog is barking. I take her for a walk. Let's go to the trivia question for today. Um, Now the Otani got a couple of hits and got a double, but a former MVP on opening day hit 3 home runs on opening day. He was the reigning MVP, and he launched 3 home runs on opening day to make everyone know, hey, last year was no fluke. Who was the reigning MVP of a season before this one who hit 3 home runs on opening day? That is the trivia question. Put it down in the comments here on YouTube. And thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast with hosts Dominic Martino and Matthew Ane. MLB fantasy draft season is here, and be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. Find Locked On MLB Fantasy, or no, Locked On Fantasy Baseball. I'm Locked On MLB, sorry, on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Yikes. Talking, it's early. I need another sip. It's not coffee. I'm a tea guy. Talking about the kind of opening of the 2025 season and why the Cubs just can't get in a habit of losing games like this. This has been Locked On MLB. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.